Hey everyone, Irene Lyon here, and welcome to this video into this entire world of nervous system health and healing. I want to come back to a topic I've talked about many times. I've done lectures and videos, and I speak about this a lot. And that is the practice, the concept, the principle, if you will, of something called orienting. Orienting. Now, this was originally taught to me in my somatic experiencing training. This is the work of Dr. Peter Levine, and it forms in some ways the beginning stages of how we might teach someone whom is a client or really a student, this concept of why humans, why we need to have connection to the world around us. Now, there's many reasons. One might be because we want to see danger around us. We want to see the threat coming and be prepared so that we can, fight, flee, protect, cover our ears, all these sorts of things. But we also need it so that we can take in what is around us in a way that is more socially engaging. This would be this ability to take in, I'm looking out a window here where I am, look at the trees, to see the ocean, to see the vistas, to see things that just have color and goodness to them. The thing that occurs, and this might be review for some of you, is that when we are trapped in what we would call survival stress, so this is dysregulation of the nervous system, also we could call it trauma, so trapped traumatic stress, our capacity to orient is a little wonky, it's a little off. For some of us, we might be hyper alert to the world around us, always on the lookout. We see this in people's physiology. Their eyes will literally look bugged out. Or the flip side is someone will be completely tunnel visioned and they won't see what's around them. They won't know if something is coming at them that is dangerous because they're so disconnected from the environment, potentially also disconnected from their inside body, but we won't get into that today. So I'm giving you this quick recap on orienting, why it's important for a reason, and that is often when people start to orient, when they start to take in their environment, what they start to notice is how important it is for them to start to take care of their environment. And this is a thread that has come up a few times in social media. I have students posting how, now that I am more regulated and more resilient in my body and more able to actively engage with the environment, hence orient, things like I'm actually cleaning up my room. I'm actually taking care of my house. I've done videos on how our students start to take care of their plants better and their plants begin to thrive. Part of that is because they're actually seeing them. They're not forgetting that their plants are here or there, and so they're attending to them, they're attuning to them. So recently someone asked, Irene, how the heck is learning how to orient going to help me clean up my room? And I shared a story a little while ago where one of the first people I ever worked with online, I just taught her this basic practice of scanning, seeing, taking in the environment. And I have audio samplers on my site where you can download these for free and give this a go. So she did it, and I don't know, a day or so later, she writes me back on email and she said, I can't believe what just happened, but I actually physically cleaned up my room. And she was quite young, so she was still living at home with parents. So I'm assuming her room was a mess, which is the case for many kiddos and heck, many adults, even perhaps teenagers. And she just went into action. She went into a little more energetic movement into action. And she actually saw, holy moly, this is a mess. I have to clean this up. Now, someone might know that their environment is a mess. They might see it. They might notice it needs cleaning up, but something in them, and this dives into the topic of resistance and procrastination, which I will talk about at some point soon, if not already. We'll link videos near this, other pieces of content where I talk about resistance and procrastination. But suffice to say, if we are not aware of this importance of actively engaging with our environment, we might kind of know in the periphery there's stuff around us that needs to be cleaned up, but we won't take active action. And so this is what that person had said. She had said, without a doubt, I'm able to actually take care of my environment. So this might seem like a miracle for some, but since that, and since talking about that a bit more on my social media feeds, I've had other people share similar things. And so what is important to understand here is when we start this active processing of reconnecting to the environment and of course sensing our bodies internally, of course this is another piece to this work, we really do start to take care of our environment. And of course you can imagine this funnels out into other things that we might need to clean up and take care of in our environment. Just today, for example, I was walking down my street and there was some empty beer cans on the road. They were a little off to the side. I pick up that stuff, right? But it's also because I'm orienting and looking and seeing what's around me. Now, that's the first part I wanted to say. The second part to this video, often people who are new here, and you might be new, are like, what? Is this it? Is this all we need to do to regulate our nervous system is orient? And the answer is, it is not enough, typically, right? It is not enough to just learn the process of orienting. True story, when I was new in this work, this would have been back in 2008, maybe 2007, when I was just beginning to understand what trauma is, what the nervous system is, the work of Peter Levine. It was because I was working with clients, and even all the mind-body work I was doing with them, nothing was shifting them. And I knew I was missing something. So I did a session with another somatic experiencing practitioner. Of course, I was not a practitioner at the time. And I remember sitting there and this person asked me to just look around the room and take it in. Now, of course, I know what they were doing in that moment, but in that moment, I had no education. I didn't know what it was for. And I was so deep in what I call functional freeze. I've done other videos on functional freeze. We'll post them near here somewhere. That I thought the woman was crazy. I thought, why am I paying her $100 and whatever to sit in an office and look around the room? Now, remember, or you might not know this about me, but at that time, I was still very deeply connected to the outdoor world, skiing, paragliding, climbing, all these things. So to me, the environment was always there. So for some people like myself, orienting was no big deal. I knew how to orient. So that was already there. But for some people, it might be revolutionary because they've never considered that there's this environment around them. So for some of you, for some people, this first step of reconnecting to the environment is essential. For others, this would have been me, for example, I needed deeper work. I needed to work more with my body, with the sensations, with held emotions. And so when my students talk, and we have so many stories and interviews with my students, and what you'll notice when you listen to these people talk, these students who have been alumni for many years, they'll say, the orienting is what I always do. I'm always doing it. I'm always actively engaging with the environment. It's a game saver, or it's a game changer. It's a lifesaver. And so someone might say, well, God, is that all that you're learning in, say, Smart Body, Smart Mind, or the 21-Day Nervous System Tune-Up? These are my 2 courses. And the answer to that is no, you're not just learning orienting. But what they've done is they've worked on getting connected with the body through the other deeper neurosensory exercises. They've gotten in connection with their pelvis, their spine, their head, their movements, sound, breath, all the things that get taught in my courses. So they've done all this other stuff. Hope you're following this. They've done all this other curriculum work to release trapped stress, to reconnect to their organs, to reconnect to this vagus nerve that everybody's talking about, to understand their stress physiology better, they are more able to be in their bodies, in their interoception through the coursework. And the reason why they talk about orienting is it's something that we need to do all the time. So we don't need to go all day long emoting emotions, anger, sadness, joy, frustration. We don't need to go around our days always working with our, say, kidney adrenals or our gut brain interface. These are things that I teach. We don't go around all day constantly flexing and extending our spine deliberately and intentionally. We do that in practice to move things up and out. But when we're just living our life, going for a walk, making food, driving, being in our space, this process and action that is either conscious or unconscious of orienting is always there. Hence why it can be very powerful for some people when they begin it, but for some not so much, right? For some, so I'm going to add a little piece in here. For some, when they start to connect to the environment and look around, it can be terrifying. It can feel like death because they have been internal and so tunnel vision because in the past, the outside world was dangerous. It was a threat, whether it was actual things flying at them, like in war, combat, maybe there was an accident where something hit them, or there were people around them who were completely off the charts, violent, chaotic. Maybe it was a physical abuse, maybe it was verbal, mental, whatever it might be. So if the environment was so toxic and so stressful, a person might default to shut out that. And so when they start to turn on the engine of orienting and looking and seeing, it can cause a little bit of what we would call sympathetic activation, what some would call anxiety, a little bit of worry, a little bit of this doesn't feel good, this feels a little unsafe. I'd rather go back into the tunnel vision. I'd rather go back into being frozen and not seeing around me. So orienting is complex, but it's also incredibly simple. And so again, to just review, I've done many other videos on this concept of orienting. We'll be sure to link them near here if you want to do a deeper dive and just hear this information from a different angle. For many people, it is a beginning to becoming more connected to not just yourself and your senses, but the world around you. For some, it might make it such that as they connect with the environment and they see what's around them more, they want to take care of it. They want to clean it up. They want to go into good action. It pulls them out of being frozen, being in procrastination. So that's good. And then for others, you might find, or they might find that they need a little bit more work, that you need a little bit more work with working with the viscera, the organs, the breath, the sensations, the emotions. And once we work with that and we grow what I call capacity internally, the orienting response just becomes more natural. It becomes more normal. And this is exactly what animals in the wild do. They're around, they're doing their thing, they hear a little threat, they perk up, they orient. It's called defensive orienting. We need that. Humans need that. If you're walking down a street and you sense something's coming too close to you on the road, you want to be alert to that. But then once that threat is gone, you want to then reorient in an exploratory way to the environment around you. So this concept of orienting, it's more than just sit, look around, take in the environment. It has a multi-dimensional impact depending on where our physiology is, what the situation is, right? So we want to have a defensive orienting strategy if there is a real threat, but if there is no real threat, we want to come out of that defense and be able to be more exploratory with the world around us, which is what leads a lot of my students to clean up their rooms, to make their bed, to clean up the kitchen, to do the dishes, to take the trash out, because they see, oh my goodness, this isn't a good environment. I need to clean this up. right? So orienting is important. There are many different ways in which humans orient. We want to have a blend of general orientation to the world around us. We want defensive when there's a real threat, but we don't want to be in defensive orienting or shut down from that 24/7. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you want to dive into more of this topic, and I highly suggest you do if this is new to you, check out the links near this video, near this piece, and keep learning, keep healing, and we will see you next time.